have a little lesson here today. A few things that are going to go in line with each other. So, this says the 13th hour. This is an Emmet Fox. Some wonderful demonstrations come at the 11th hour. Others come at the 12th hour. And some of the deepest and most far-reaching demonstrations come at the 13th hour. If you maintain the right attitude. What, after all, is the right attitude? It is simply knowing the truth of being instead of accepting the error. Many people are aware of this, and they work in the right way for a while. If, however, the demonstration has not arrived a little before the 11th hour, they give up in despair, and naturally their prayer is not answered. But this can only mean that they do not really believe. If your statements of truth are true, they are true whether the victory comes at 11 or 12 or 1 o'clock. State the truth of being concerning the problem. Hold to it even after the 12 o'clock has struck, and you will be surprised at the wonderful good that can come to you at the 13th hour. The Lord's hand is not shortened that it cannot save, neither his ear is heavy that it cannot hear. Isaiah 59:1. In other words, don't lose heart. Creation sometimes takes a while, and I think sometimes takes sort of releasing the last bit of hanging on and trusting timing and just knowing it's going to happen. It's all about knowing it's going to happen and what you're creating is true and real. And now we're going to jump into Neville, chapter 9. Thy will be done. This is from I Know My Father. Not my will, but thine be done. This resignation is not one of blind fatalism. We often view it as a full surrender. But it is the illumined realization that I can of myself do nothing. The Father within me, he doeth the work. When man wills, he attempts to make something appear in time and space, which he knows does not now exist. He is not aware of what it is he is really doing, but what he actually does is this. He consciously states, I do not possess the capacities to express it now, but I will acquire these capacities in time. In short, I am not, but I will be. Not my will, but thine be done. So in other words, we're giving over surrender, saying maybe I can't do this thing, but yet something in me can. And so I'm imagining it, I'm wanting it, I'm desiring it. And in that, placing that request, I'm turning it into being. I'm creating it. Man does not realize that consciousness is the Father who does the work. So he attempts to express that which he is not conscious of being. Such struggles are doomed to disappointment, for only the present expresses itself. Unless I am conscious of being that which I seek, I will not find it. And that's how, people say, well, if you ask, it is given. And why isn't it showing up? Because in the law of creation, I asked that it should be given. Well, because you really don't believe it's true for you. And the universe can't give you something unless you really believe you're worth it and that it makes sense. Like, it has to feel natural. We don't quantum leap. So whatever you ask for has to feel right to you. And so you have to continue to wear it and practice it and say you want it and be it. And it starts to come on. And I've noticed this even with something as small as a mood shift when I started sort of my little happiness journey. And I realized my emotional set point was worry. I started working at that. And now I can say my emotional set point has changed to be happy. Like, I still, go up and down, but I exist day to day in a completely different place than I did before. And that was because I set my eyes on that. I wanted it. I said I was going to do it. And I wore it until it felt natural. And now it feels completely natural and it's here. So I'm sure my attraction points changed. What will come to me in my life will change because it'll feel more natural for me to be successful and have the things that bring me happiness. Such struggles are doomed to disappointment. So man does not realize that consciousness is the Father who does the work. So he attempts to express that which he is not conscious of being. Such struggles are doomed to disappointment, for only the present expresses itself. Unless I am conscious of being that which I seek, I will not find it. God, your awareness, is the substance and fullness of all. God's will is the recognition of that which is, not of that which shall be. So because we're in eternity, there really is only now, only this moment. And so if it isn't real for me now, and I'm putting it in the future, I can't get to it because there's only now. Instead of seeing this saying as thy will be done, see it as thy will, comma, be done. I dig that. Instead of saying thy will be done, see it as thy will be done, or it is done. The works are finished. The principle by which all things are made visible is eternal. Even though eyes had not seen, nor ears heard, neither hath it entered into the hearts of man, the things which God hath prepared for those who love the law. When a sculptor looks at a formless piece of marble, he sees buried within its formless self his finished piece of art. So the sculptor, instead of making his masterpiece, merely reveals it by removing that part of the marble which hides his conception. Funny, Alan Watts talks a lot about that. The same applies to you. In your formless awareness, I am lies buried all that you will ever conceive yourself to be. The recognition of this truth will transform you from that of an unskilled laborer who tries to make it so, like forcing it, this is what I want, this, or praying all the time, but not feeling it to be true for yourself, not having faith that it will be, to that of a great artist who recognizes it to be so. Your claim that you are now that which you want to be will remove the veil of human darkness with its I will be, and reveal your perfect claim. I am that. God's will was expressed in the words of the widow, it is well. Man's will would have been, it shall be well. To state I shall be well is to say I am ill. In other words, to say like I will be getting better, I will be healed one day, means that I'm not now. And so I have to say, I am well, I am healed. God, the eternal now, is not mocked by words or vain repetition. God continually personifies that which is. This is why Abraham will say all the time, no matter what you conceive of, you can become it. Like there's nothing you cannot be, do, or have in this world. If you can think of it, then you can have it, or be it, or create it. But are you going to do the work, which is really just realizing that you deserve it and making it feel like it's a reality to have it? God, the eternal now, is not mocked by words or vain repetition. God continually personifies that which is. Thus, the resignation of Jesus, who made himself equal with God, God became man, that man might become God, was turning from the recognition of lack, which the future indicates with I shall be, to the recognition of supply by claiming I am that. Now you will see the wisdom in the words of the prophet when he stated, let the weak say, I am strong. Joel 3:10. Man in his blindness will not heed the prophet's advice. So he continues to claim himself to be weak, poor, wretched, and all the other undesirable expressions from which he is trying to free himself by ignorantly claiming that he will be free from them. I'll be rich one day. There is only one door through which that which you seek can enter your world. When you say I am, you are declaring yourself to be person, to be first person, present tense. Again, to know that I am is to be conscious of being that which you seek. You seek in vain. Again, to know that I am is to be conscious of being. Consciousness is the only door. Therefore, unless you are conscious of being that which you seek in vain. If you judge after appearances, you will continue to be enslaved by the evidence of your senses. So if you continue to look at your circumstances, if you continue to look at your bank account and there's not much money in it, you'll be like, well, this is all I am. You're constantly regurgitating what is. And I've said it before and I'll say it again. What is old news, right? It's like gum you've chewed all the flavor out of, as Abraham would say. Everything that shows up in the physical world is 98% created by the time it shows up. And so as it shows up, you're shifting, you're asking for more. You have to keep up with that. And so you kind of have to ignore your actual circumstances or what's really going on in order to allow other things to come in. It's kind of fascinating. You have to declare what you are, feel it, be it, and ignore kind of what the reality would be or what the ignore what the reality appears to be in front of you. If you judge after appearances, again I'll say, you will continue to be enslaved by the evidence of your senses. To break from this hypnotic spell of the senses, you are told, go within and shut the door. Meditate. The door of the senses must be tightly shut before your new claim can be honored. This closing the door of the senses is not as difficult as it at first appears to be. It is done without effort. It is impossible to serve two masters at the same time. The master man serves in that which he is conscious of being. I am Lord and master of that which I am conscious of being. It is no effort for me to conjure poverty if I am conscious of being poor. It's super easy, actually, because that's what I have, and I have evidence of it everywhere. My servant poverty is compelled to follow me, or consciousness of poverty, as long as I am the Lord conscious of being poor. So in other words, I'm calling the consciousness of poverty to me all the time because I'm conscious of being poor. It's kind of hilarious, and yet we want to get rid of that, yet we're the ones constantly calling it forth by law of attraction, by looking at what is. That's why meditation helps so much. You close down the senses, you go within, you shut off looking at all of that, and even for a short period of time every day, if you do that, you change your vibrational point because you're creating an opportunity to see yourself or feel yourself as something other than what is. Instead of fighting against the evidence of the senses, you simply claim yourself to be that which you desire to be. As you become lost in the feeling of beingness, which you are now claiming yourself to be true of yourself, the doors once more open. But as you have discovered, they permit only the present, that which I am now conscious of being, to enter. And you behold your world expressing that which you are conscious of being. Therefore, let us follow the example of Jesus, an ideal, who, realizing that he could, as man, do nothing to change his present picture of lack, closed the door of his senses and went to his Father, to whom all things are possible. It would have been a rough world when Jesus was around. The sickness, the death, the starvation, the misery. But he didn't look at it. He realized it was a bad dream. He shut his eyes. He went within and he said, I want to see a new dream. And he did. Having denied the evidence of his senses, he claimed himself to be that which but a moment before his senses told him he was not. This goes back to the reading about the body, the hero of the dream. He didn't buy into it. His senses, or the body, the sort of manifestation of the ego mind telling him one thing was true, he refused to believe it. And so his I am, his Father, his all-powerful being overrode what his senses were seeing because it's much more powerful than the body, and allowed him to see what he asked for, what he became conscious of being. Knowing that consciousness expresses its likeness on earth, he remained in the claimed consciousness until the doors, his senses, opened and confirmed the rulership of the Lord. In other words, his senses started to confirm that God really was here. People were healing. They weren't dying. They were coming back to life. He was seeing thriving. He was seeing abundance. That's evidence of our true, all-powerful, loving God, our Father. Remember, I am is Lord of all consciousness. Never again use the will of man, which claims, I will be. Be as resigned as Jesus and claim, I am that. And when we take this on, when we believe it to be 100% true for ourselves, when we know it, beautiful things happen. And it goes back to the Emmet Fox thing. It might take till the 11th hour, but don't lose faith. Continue to believe it, continue to know it, continue to take it on and feel it. Have it be in your consciousness of being and in your heart of hearts. And the evidence will show up. The demonstration, as Emmet Fox, even if it's in the 13th hour, will come, because it must, because God is all powerful and God exists in our consciousness that we're aware of being. And the world has to respond to us through the law of attraction. We just have to have faith in it. We have to know it and we have to shift. And then when we really know it to be true for ourselves, the evidence will reveal itself through the senses, which are really just an illusion. Remember, it's just a dream. So all you're really doing is shifting how you perceive the illusion outside of you. There's probably a very different reality outside of us than what we see, but our senses are a filtering mechanism. Our brain, our eyes, our nose, our ego is developing, like all of our beliefs, all of our thoughts cause us to only see and filter certain things. We know we live in a vibrational world. We know it's all energy. It's not actually physical. So our senses are all translating that. And based on what I believe, my senses translate different things. And I don't know about you, but I'd like my senses to translate some really lovely, beautiful things. And I'd like to have one of those killer lives. And I do. More and more each day is the beauty of this world and kindness and goodness of my Father revealed to me. So anyway, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you more than words can say. I hope you got something out of that. I certainly did. Be well.